This is the most political film that I've seen in a long time, and it is unabashed. It's unapologetically a mass film. It's a film that cuts across all kinds of barriers, and it's a deeply political film.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. It is Friday, and it seems it's a Shahrukh Khan world, and we are all bit players in it. The halls across India it's crazy in halls across India. We have been covering, like early morning shows of Jawan, and people are pouring in, people with bandages across their face. And it seems like it's a mela across halls across India. And today we have with us Shubhra Gupta, a renowned film critic of Indian Express. Her reviews are, read by everyone who matters. In fact, Karan Johar himself said that, he reads her reviews as a wake-up call. And I'm sure Shahrukh Khan too must have read her review that came out yesterday. Shubhra, this madness for Jawan, what explains this whole, madness?
I think this is, as you said, this is Shah Rukh Khan's world and we are living in it. I think 2023 is his year and we are totally living in it. I think all these years, the last few years, particularly when I think he's been targeted and trolled and reviled really on social media, on and off it, I think it had built up such a pent up feeling amongst those people who were neither his big fans nor were they, against him, but people who were sort of, straddling the middle, who just happened to be lovers of, Bollywood, the masala play, the entertainment quotient that Bollywood, the big Bollywood blockbuster pushes up and gives us so much joy. I think they were just waiting for 2023 to happen. When Pathan came to us in January, I think it was that moment when people realized that there's no point in listening to so many trolls or being affected by so much negativity. People just wanted to break free and go and enjoy themselves. And I think that's precisely what Pathan did. Also because of the fact that it was Shah Rukh Khan and he was in and as Pathan. He was reclaiming that space that, that had been taken away from him. Not that he wanted to, cede it, but the way he had been surrounded by so much of the negativity that we see on our social media platforms, where people are hiding behind they don't give out their names, but they are completely and totally venomous. I think that was one big reason where Pathan actually broke through and gave us a film in which he did what he did. He became an action hero, which he wanted to do apparently 25 years ago, when he became this big romantic hero. He became Raj. And at that point, he said that he wanted to be this big, he had always this thing about wanting to be a big action hero. And I think Pathan gave him that. I think what Jawan, yeah, no, I was coming to Jawan. And, it was, there is, of course, such a thing as a groundswell of opinion that gets people into the halls on the first day. But for it to continue over these 2 days, and the kind of excitement and the kind of fervor is all I can explain it as, because my first show in the morning was at 7:45 and it was full. 7:45 in the morning. It was only Rajnikant.
And we have been covering from across India. It's 5 a.m. shows, 6 a.m. shows, and it's equally mad, outside halls. And
it's not just... Yeah.
And it's not, and it's as your review says, it's not just of course the pent up emotions, everything apart. The film itself is getting a lot of laurels and earning a lot of laurels. You yourself, in your review, which you can audience you can read in the link below, you say that it is it has its own merit as a film because it's worth watching. It does forges a connect with the audience. If you could tell us more about the film.
Right. So basically, I feel that Hindi cinema, in the way it has been advancing over the last few years, where we've been hearing a lot of this thing about how the South Indian cinema is still connected to its roots, and how Hindi cinema has taken, has gone way beyond all of that and has lost its connect with the masses. I think what Atlee's Jawan does is to bring back all the tropes and all the themes that Hindi cinema used to do so well. There used to be, this thing, the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan used to be something that was so emotive, and that was used by, people year after year, decade after decade, 5 years after 5 years, we never lost sight of the two kinds of people who really kept this country together is the Kisan and the Jawan. I think both, it's called Jawan, but it's also about the Kisan. I think both these elements are so strongly present in Jawan that it becomes an emotive issue. And it is these issues that Atlee's film, which sometimes reads like a, ticking off the box, that okay, how many social issues has Bollywood lost sight of? I think it brings it all back, and finally we are all like, panting and saying, okay, calm down, we've got it. But this is really where it's the film, I think, has succeeded in the kind of polarized times that we're living in. It brings people a platform, back on a platform that they'd lost sight of. I think this is a very important moment in Hindi film history, because this is a star, and this is the director's only done 4 films, and he's done them in Tamil. This is his first Hindi film. Shahrukh Khan has done films in the South before, but this is his first active collaboration with a young director who's only worked in another language. I think that the combination of this has become a pan-India phenomenon.
And I was
The two
reading
people.
somewhere. Sorry, I was reading in Twitter somewhere, and it goes very well with what you're saying here. Amitabh Bachchan would do this year, year on, like every year, like he will have 4 such crazy, massive hits where he was playing, as you said, either the common man or the son of a farmer or a son of a of a blue collar worker. And the connect was there. And do you think, as you said, this is a turning point? Are we going back to issues of the common man, things like these coming back to our cinema? Is at least Hindi cinema, the South, of course, never lost track of it. But do you think it's that's why you're saying it's a turning point for Hindi cinema?
I think what was also happening is that people they do they kind of assess movies on the fact that they've come out now, forgetting that a film actually takes 2.5 years to build, to actually get constructed. Jawan started to be made in the last year and a half. It's come now. It comes at a point where people had given up hopes of ever having a Bollywood blockbuster. All you were hearing all around was, oh, the South knows how to make these massive movies. Bollywood has lost its mojo. It's lost its, focus. None of that actually is true, because these are very, very cyclical things. Just because a Bahubali, makes it big, just because an RRR makes it so big, just because a KGF makes it so big, doesn't mean that every South Indian film has done well across the country. It's these 3.5 films on which you are sort of sweeping aside a whole industry, which has been working assiduously for the last 100 years and entertaining us. So I think this is very important to realize, that all films go through a cyclical process, and right now it's Bollywood, which is in the ascendant again. I mean, there's been Gadar Part 2, which is such a huge Bollywood box office phenomenon. There's OMG 2, again a second part, which is the most amazingly different film I have seen in a long time, and a very brave film. And I would add, actually, and I would say that Jawan is actually an extremely brave film. And the kind of, putting himself out there that Shahrukh Khan's character has done, obviously backed by the kind of scripting that Atlee has done for him, is connecting the kind of themes that mainstream cinema had completely lost sight of in a really big film, a big tentpole film backed by a big huge star.
Spoilers ahead for our audience. Because you pointed out that Shah Rukh Khan sticks his neck out and says a lot of things to the audience. It seems to Indians in general in the film, which kind of seems like he is speaking from a place of extreme emotion and extreme concern. We have not seen that kind of appeal or pleading with from film stars in a long time. I remember Fir Bhi Hil in Shah Rukh Khan probably did in Fir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani to a certain level, and of course a lot of people say that film would have worked really well now in current scenario. How do you see that? Isn't it totally out of character for a big Bollywood star to do something like that? What he does here towards the
Well, I think
film, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, I see where you're going with this, and I know exactly what you're saying. And I think it's a very good question, because this is something that the big stars in the South have done year on year in their films, which they use as big social vehicles. It's been something that they are very used to. People like Vijay, Rajinikanth, Kamala Hassan. They all use their stardom to actually push social agendas, which is something that most people then cleave to and get another kind of lens on. Again, this is something that big budget Bollywood had kind of lost sight of, and I think to their detriment, because what they were missing out was this connection and the kind of relatability that a character like Jawan has in a movie called Jawan. I mean, it's as on the nose as it is, but I think this is the time where this kind of sledgehammer on the nose approach is really what we need, because people have stopped listening. People they're not listening to each other. We are not talking to each other. We are all sitting in little silos, and we're not being India. We're being divided in so many different ways, that unless a a mega star like Shah Rukh Khan, who has an appeal that actually cuts across all kinds of castes, creeds, religions, he's actually the biggest global star that we have right now. I mean, Rajnikanth has his pockets, but I think Shah Rukh Khan, his global appeal is nobody can challenge that. So when someone like that sits on a pulpit, literally, and breaks that fourth wall and asks us to be more aware of our surroundings, and asks us literally, I don't know whether I should say that, but literally to get people in power, those people who understand us and our problems and not any other thing, and not dividing us on the basis of Jat, Path, and Dharm. I think it's a huge statement. I think that really sort of, I heard people in my theater, my first day, first show, break into the kind of applause that only his other line got, which is, the Baap Beta line, which again, I don't know whether I should say it, but,
The trailer, you can talk about the Baap Beta
it's
line.
in the trailer. I am one of those people who do not watch trailers, so
Okay.
I don't know whether.
It is in the
Yeah,
trailer.
but
You
yeah,
can freely
it
talk
is
about it. Yeah.
so then बेटे को हाथ लगाने से पहले, and then everybody,
Yeah. So a
you
lot of
can't
meta
tell what.
stuff. Yeah. Like a lot of.
Yeah, and you can't hear the rest of it, because the whole hall is actually
Absolutely.
just waiting for that line, and they are just cheering. So I think this is the kind of film that really conjoins us, makes us united, not just in a dark theater for those nearly 3 hours, but I think we bring back the messaging is, like I said, it's extremely on the nose. It's
Yeah.
extremely like, listen to me, I'm going to tell you about farmer suicides. I'm going to tell you about hospitals where children died because they didn't have any oxygen. You know exactly where that's coming from. The crony capitalism and what it's done to this country. All of these themes, which you would think that a Bollywood film, which is has to be careful about what it is saying. It's literally blown all of that to smithereens. Here are people saying, "Arey yaar, politics kaise kare is samay is." This is the most political film that I've seen in a long time, and it is unabashed. It's unapologetically a mass film. It's a film that it cuts across all kinds of barriers, and it's a deeply political film. So,
Indeed, and another thing, as someone who consumes content regularly, we were told that, like streaming platforms are for subtle, blah. We have been told, and I think are going to be about subtle storytelling. And, the narrative is such that streaming platforms are going to be about subtle storytelling, and cinema halls are going to be about, as you said, sledgehammer films like Pathan and Jawan. Do you see that to be the narrative from now on? Is that something that you're looking at? Because what is the
Um,
medium
you
now?
know, yeah, I have my doubts whether that kind of division is even possible going forward, because last year, when the new rules in information technology, the rules have come into place, there is an equal amount of, like, I would say, I could use the word sort of dread or fear that is applicable to both OTT as well as film. There are enough and more people being extra constitutional, kind of, keeping a very sharp eye on what's going on both these platforms, whether it's the cinema or whether it's OTT. And I think the beginning of the OTT wave in this country started out by saying that what a 70 movie cannot show you, we will show you. We will go to places where angels have never tread in Indian content. But I think now, given that fact that we've already done 5 years post Sacred Games and Mirzapur and so on, and we're at this really sort of, I think I would call it like a sort of a tipping point where the movies are now getting back to getting the kind of bravery that they always had. Our Bollywood movies, even the mainstream movies that I have seen in the South, have always, they've always actually picked up social issues and run with them. It's only in the last few years that there has been so much, looking over your shoulder to see what's coming at them. And I think because they are soft targets, because they are, because the movies and the people who make those movies become so much the easy targets to hit. So therefore, I think there's been too much fear. I think now, I think all of that is going to get a little bit dissipated. I think we're going to see some more films that will come up going down this path where a lot more clarity in terms of things that had got lost is going to come back. And as far as OTT and being a certain kind of content, I think it'll be a mix of both things that are out there and things that are, going back into the conservative, conservative kind of zone. Because look at a film like Badhai Do, which did what the LGBTQ, the kind of ecosystems we have in this country. I think it opened up so much. I think what the big Hindi movie can do, the big mainstream Indian film can do, is nobody else can do in this country in terms of picking up taboo subjects and really sort of training a lens on them and being accessible enough for people to get something. And when they leave the theater, they're always going to leave with more than they came in with.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, we talk a lot of film experts are talking about only now is the Hindi film audience, or at least the current crop of Hindi film audience, seeing the kind of star service that South Indian films had, So if you could tell us, what, as in, and we can see it in Pathan, in Jawan, Atlee almost manages to, make Shahrukh Khan, there's two of them, and there is every frame, every scene is like a introduction scene, right? It's like an introduction scene over and over again, the kind of thing that we are used to. So the kind of star service that we have in South, do you see that coming to Indian cinema? Do you see that being replicated as in Hindi cinema? I'm not Hindi film industry, sorry.
Hindi cinema, yeah. I think there have been many examples of the being completely in awe of the star that you are dedicating the film to, even in Bollywood. I think Shehenshah was definitely, and Amitabh Bachchan was Shehenshah.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan was Bachchan many years before he was Jawan. But I think what the South does, yes, they do deify their stars. Yes, they douse their cutouts with morning abhishekam, and they pour milk down there, this thing before a 5:45 a.m. show, and they do create, they sort of construct temples to them on all of that. Bollywood may not actually do that, but Bollywood has its own way of serving their superstar. A Salman Khan film is nothing but in the service of his fans. The big blockbuster that Salman the Bhai does is very much very much in service of the Salman Khan persona, or the mythos that Salman Khan represents for so many of his fans. Shah Rukh in this movie has actually been sort of represented in a way that is larger than life, but it's also extremely relatable. This is something that the South does, very well. They Rajnikant, maybe Bhasha, and all of these, the title in and as they do become that character. But Rajni, in no way will he ever paint his face white. He will always be somebody that an average viewer in the South relates to, whether he is beating up 100 people. Rajni is not someone who is put the pedestalization. It does not alienate the viewer. It's like something that yes, he's a star, but he is somebody you can touch and feel and get something out of. It's not never out of reach. And again here, Jawan also the same thing. He's relatable. He's doing something for the people. He's we the people. Jawan, as well as Jawan Senior, is very much we the people. He's on this side. He's not on anyone else's side. He's on the side of the viewer, or the side of the person, or the farmer, or the Jawan, or the person who is in that plight, the plight of the citizen. He's the citizen. The citizen. I think that's really where the Jawan fan service leads him to, and leads us to as well as viewers.
And the other thing that I, wanted to talk about is the fact that this is again, again, I want to bring back to the conversation Shahrukh Khan, and it's his year. He's got another huge film coming out, Donkey, right? Rajkumar Hirani's Donkey, which is supposed to come out at the end of the year.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I don't know if you can hear behind me that our office is right next to a cinema hall, one of the oldest cinema halls in Calcutta. So what I'm saying is, I don't know, I don't know if you can hear behind me, there's a lot of noise traffic because of the fact that there's a Shahrukh Khan's Jawan is running at a hall right next to our office in cinema.
Okay.
And it's crazy outside. I wish I could show you. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is it's again another big film, Donkey, which is going to release. So what is the road ahead for Shahrukh Khan as a star and Bollywood as an industry that is reigned by him?
See, a lot of the times, even the most powerful stars, which include the three Khans, the incredible durability of those three Khans has rested on the fact that despite the divisiveness that we see in the country today, these are the three biggest stars that actually unite viewers. And I think going forward, Shah Rukh's attempt will always be to kind of keep that platform that he's created with these two films steady, so that he can build more on it, I feel, because he has done a lot of films in the past which have been sort of experimental, which have been rejected by his fans. Fan, for example, was one of those films. Zero was another one. It seems to me that his most ardent fans do not want to see him doing anything else other than these kinds of big films. Whether it's Siddharth Anand with Pathan, or it's Atlee with Jawan, or it's I don't know what Rajkumar Hirani's Donkey will shape up like, but I think the idea to either be a complete and an absolute like crackerjack entertainment, which has nothing to do with anything other than just like having a blast at the movies, which is really what films are all about, or doing something which is so strongly socially, relevant to our times, and combine his stardom to actually push those conversations ahead. I think I don't know what his, I'm not his, someone who's a soothsayer, but I think that will be the way forward. And I think Bollywood is too big to actually be confined into any one silo. I think there are so many voices out there, and there are so many people who are, pushing their stories, and with all the new voices that are coming in, I think there will come a time when we will be prouder of our films in coming out of Hindi cinema than we have been in a long time. But it will take a little more time. Yeah.
Okay. And one last personal question. Which of the two did you like better, Jawan or Pathan?
Okay, here is the thing. I like both equally, but I had more fun with Pathan. It was like, I
More
mean,
fun, yeah.
how can you not? Yeah. How can you not be, with John Abraham, and with, so much swag, and with Deepika. Deepika is burning up the screen in that one. Here she is. So here I was more aware of what my journey as a film critic has been, where what has been missing in the big Hindi movie. It's come back. So I was a little more engaged on that level. But I had more sort of let's say flashy fun in Pathan. But I think both are equally important for this year, and both are going to be landmark films in their own right going forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shubhra, for joining us. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brahmanpur. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you.